Hey, Amanda.
How are you?
We'll see. So yeah, I did definitely obviously want to touch base considering, our replies need to be in. Uh, I don't know what Don is trying to do or
Don actually called me this morning, but I had to go because I had another meeting. And he was like, I don't know what to do. What do you think? And he's like, I said, honestly, I don't know, Don. What do you think? And he's like, well, I'm willing to work with them. If they want to make an agreement, then I'm fine with that. And I was like, okay.
but that's not like how do you say all these concerns and somehow us being in agreement fixes it? Like you
Right. I
don't
get
want
what you're saying. Like, if you have so many concerns about who's going to be taking care of her, but then they're all gone as long as we agree.
yeah, I mean and the whole putting her in a facility, like nothing was tried. Like
Right.
there was actually not like when I really thought about it, no attempt was made.
No,
He told you to make her get on board, or he's putting in her. She's an incapacitated person. She's mentally ill. She doesn't
she's not going to
understand.
listen like that.
She needs to understand and make her decisions in her best interest.
Yeah, she's not going to listen.
Or I'm putting her in a facility
Yeah,
and
it's
I'm
crazy.
gonna ignore everything the family's saying.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't appreciate too. I mean, essentially putting no weight on the fact that we've been saying the same thing the whole time. We were the ones, petitioning, and we're family. Like, there's essentially like there's no weight being given. Simply like we're family, and there's nobody else willing to do it.
Right, right. I mean, I definitely think you guys are better than the OPG, so that's always going to be my stance.
So, and then when it comes to Daniel, I mean, again, I've reiterated this a million times to you. He when he gets emboldened, and by saying, "I'll do anything you agree to," when I say we'll agree if he shows his taxes because he has $50,000 in a bank account that and vacations, nobody can explain where it came from. And he said
Right,
under, you know, uh, in a guardianship matter, Daniel says, oh, all you're bringing up unrelated stuff. He's the one who made the claims in the guardianship matter.
right,
I've never made a comment or brought anything up that wasn't brought up, but like you decided to make that claim.
right.
I
Yeah,
thought
I don't
you had a
disagree.
chance. Yeah. And you see what happens, right? When he ran out of claims
Right,
that weren't disproven, he's now, oh, 15 years ago, some company you quit from was tax fraud. Like, it's at what point, Amanda, like, is anybody like, my frustration is all these conversation, all these email, all this stuff has never, not one thing has ever been acknowledged to Daniel, let alone on the record. Like,
right.
at what point, right? Is it just essentially, none of it matters, right?
Yeah, I feel like the judge isn't going to get into most of it because he's
Well,
just going to
well,
want
I
to hear
mean,
the settlement.
I don't see, and this is why I kind of said like I'm not going to even, entertain this. Oh, if you want to say Daniel has to agree, or you want to say that you believe that the only successful one is to give Daniel authority, then say it.
Right,
Stop like kind of forcing us into pretending like it's us giving the idea for
right.
the only thing you're willing to accept.
So are you still willing to work with Daniel? Because I read your email to Vanarelli and I was a little bit confused.
Oh, so there's no way, shape, or form he's getting access to financials. Like there's just
Yeah,
not.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I
That
mean
makes
that's the thing, right? There's no concern of he can't or even articulate his reasoning, right? It's constantly changing.
right.
He, I mean, Amanda, is it so? Hey, give an example of what you mean by preserve the estate. Like it's a phrase he hooked onto that refers to his mentally ill grandmother giving him large sums of money. Right, like I got to be honest for all of you, like why am I going through the financials and trying to like how nobody cared enough to say, hey, let's see if anything that is being claimed has any basis in truth. I mean, you saw how much money he took from her.
Right. So you
Like,
could still work with him if he's the guardian of the person.
no, he's not going to be like because then I have the issues of him trying to move himself in, and you know,
Okay.
so I do have a solution.
Okay.
Before anything, you know, if Daniel does not agree, are you willing to acknowledge any of this in your reply, or even to Daniel, right? Because the thing is, we had a lot, it would be a lot better, right? If you say, hey, you come to agreement, but because of these legitimate financial concerns, I will not agree, I will not consider an arrangement that Daniel, is involved in the estate unless he disproves this. That
Right.
conversation isn't, oh, the only reason Daniel's not guardian of the estate is because Jan and Andrew don't want him, which is
No.
in Daniel's mind, right? You saw how quickly he was like, ignored the offer with the taxes and just started rambling about nothing. I mean, did you see the email he forwarded? How
Which
quickly he
one?
threw. Oh, the one you'll see it where I say you forgot Amanda. The one where we're discussing about stuff.
Oh yeah, you left me off one of the emails. Yeah.
No, he just forwarded to Vanarelli to claim like, see what he's saying about
Oh.
Amanda. He claimed that the reason he doesn't, want to be part of the estate or guardianship is how can he trust me and Yana who dismiss the GCM's evaluation so easily?
Right.
I mean, it's just so I'm perfect. Look, I'm not gonna lie. I'd rather not spend the money, but if Daniel doesn't get on board, I'm gonna ask for a evidentiary hearing. I mean, at no point has any as the facts or evidence been acknowledged by any. No offense to you, but nobody. So if
Right.
it's not going to be acknowledged. Then you know what? Bring in a psychiatrist who will explain why her not speaking to us is not a basis for things, right? You saw him fixated on Yana getting her fees reimbursed.
Right.
See, where do you think Letta got that from? That fixation. I mean,
Right.
Dawn makes sure to correct when Daniel says he didn't refuse to help, but doesn't correct when Daniel says Vanarelli said there's no evidence. And I
Right.
hope for you, right, that you'll correct it and if not say, Daniel, hey, stop making claims on my behalf without talking to me. Right.
Right.
That me, trying to compromise does not mean I think, this. Like you can't say that. So
Right.
the one compromise, and this really will just be transparent both on Vanarelli's end and Daniel's end, that I'm the only one trying to actually, you know, you know, and sincere with my concerns and trying to address them. You or me, or you or Yana, doesn't Daniel can decide, co-guardians.
Okay.
Daniel will in no way, shape, or form actually be technically a guardian. However, the arrangement would be that for disagreements between you and the other guardian, he would be the tiebreaker, right?
Daniel.
Yeah. So what happens there, right, is it's all intents and purposes a co-guardian, the actual authority, right?
Right.
Except none of the authority or powers is dependent on him acknowledging or accepting the limitations of co-guardianship. Because that's where our concern is, right? You can be a co-guardian, but you have all the authorities of a guardian. You can walk into a bank and, or reimburse yourself or do things, and then we have to deal with it after the fact.
Right.
That nothing about Daniel's actions, and you can see by how willy-nilly he makes claims under penalty of perjury or decides he's going to move in, right? He
What
doesn't.
about if you guys were co-signers?
What do you mean?
Like on any kind of account transactions with a
No,
bank
he
account?
said, Amanda, there's no
There's no
him
way.
having access to banks to
Gotcha.
be able to do. There's just Amanda. He like it has zero concern with
Right.
the fact that he said under penalty of perjury, like he's gonna walk into. He expects to walk into court and answer questions about this, right? Do you really think? Have you seen anything where consequence would prevent him from, or rules would prevent him from doing something?
No.
So what do we like the thing? I
Yeah,
mean,
I mean,
at
we're
what
hoping you'll
point?
be a good person.
At what point is everybody, Vanarelli, yourself, essentially saying, hey, you know, give him what he wants and hope we can, mitigate the damage after it? Like,
But how do
no,
we get around
how
the
did,
fact that she's only talking to Daniel?
why does he need authority for financial
Right. I mean, you could
transactions?
do that without authority.
The thing is, and if he rejects a deal, then his motivations are super transparent, right? What you have all the authority, right? For all intents and purposes, for decision making, you know, if you if it was the opposite, he had it, and you were the tiebreaker, right? The only time you and I, his decisions would be so is when you two are in agreement.
Right.
So if we're 50-50 or you and Jan are 50-50, it's the same thing.
Right.
However, it's not dependent on him, respecting the rules or the authority, right?
Right.
If he says no, then why? Like, why do you need to be able to write checks?
Right.
Like,
Right.
we have our concerns, legitimate concerns, right? You've said your concerns. You don't want to give examples of it, and none of it is, not taken care of by this arrangement.
Right.
So if he
Gotcha.
can't even articulate his reasoning,
Right.
what are we doing here? Like, at what point, right, what does Daniel have to do or say where he doesn't get a decision, or like it's not the end all be all or the veto, or you know what I mean? Like,
Right. Right.
for 2 years, like he
Right.
was. You saw his earlier certifications. He knew about the estate changes. He didn't, you know, just deny her incapacity. It was a, lie from the beginning to control it. I mean, if you look at everything he's written, Amanda, he's saying a million different ways, Netta wants to give me money and Yana doesn't want it. And
Right.
everything she does, every action she's ever taken has all been towards that.
Right.
That her, I mean, it's you, please tell me you see the mental illness there.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, so okay, I mean, somebody just acknowledge it or speak up, and then like
Right.
stop telling him that he is vindicated in expecting to have a say.
Right.
You
Right.
didn't
I
believe she was
gotcha.
incapacitated. You didn't believe she was incapacitated.
Yeah.
What decisions has he made? Was it he totally believed that Vanarelli was going to put her in a facility if these GCM visits happen, and he said, "Fuck that! I'm not going to appease them."
Right. Yeah.
I
It's
mean,
not
you saw
helping the
the text,
cause.
right? I said, "Look, we're all trying to make this happen. You need to
Right.
like can't play chicken with this because it's all about him, and he's not well, and it's
Right.
because they don't want me to have it. I'm not going to stick my tail between." So when it gets framed as the only reason he's not guardian is because Yana and Andrew won't agree,
Right.
and nothing else is acknowledged, this is
Right.
how we end up 2 years later. Because when the GAL, you know, must have been his first time or something, we didn't give him the goods because he's a prosecutor from 30 years from the town
Right.
that he lived in. I
Yeah. I
wasn't going
get
to give him
that.
federal blackmail. You know what
Right.
I mean? Felony blackmail. I wasn't going to give him, like, I figured it's obvious enough. He went on a speed run of her estate, flew
Right.
to Italy, and is denying,
Yeah.
like
I gotcha.
it's crazy too that Vettorelli's basis is how long it's been, right? Like we've been saying the same thing over and over. Nobody listened. It shouldn't have ever been this long.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I don't know what Vanarelli is going to do, and I don't know. Let me think.
I
So.
mean, I'm, I've already committed, at least in my mind. I'll tell you, my mom's done in terms of the legal aspect of this, and I don't blame her. She said, you've been through this a million times with your emails and trying to convince them. Literally, the needle has not moved. After 2 years, we're literally like having to negotiate to not have Daniel have full access. Like that's the whole point. The whole point of this was to stop that. It wasn't to greed or to it just he cannot and you see how everything is rational with Meta if it aligns with his views,
Right.
right?
Right.
I I'm I'm a 33-year-old man and make almost 200 grand who drove and visited my grandmother every week without taking anything or doing anything, right?
Right.
Her thinking I'm evil, Daniel says, you know, she always hated you with good reason. Like,
But
at
she
what
didn't
point
always
do you
hate you.
realize what?
She didn't always hate you, though.
Yeah, Amanda and with Vanarelli, she is mentally ill.
Right.
Like, I do not. It is upsetting. I do not feel vindicated if she likes me, and
Right.
in my thing, and I do not feel personally hurt that my mentally ill grandmother has delusions about me.
Right.
Like,
Same as if she didn't recognize you under your
yeah. So
thing.
so as I try to explain to Vanarelli, this whole like, oh, she's not talking to you, and therefore, or reconciliation. Why don't you bring up reconciliation? Amanda, there's never going to be reconciliation in the way we talk about it, the way the word is being used.
Right.
If anybody would have just Googled this disease,
Right.
right? She has fixed beliefs that no amount of what reconciliation is to us is being willing to let us be in her house and
Right.
and speak with us. She never liked her daughter. He
Right.
never trusted her daughter. She never liked or trusted me, but we were there and she spent time and she, got to a point where she enjoyed the company more than the dislike of us.
Right. Right.
So look, and I'm also not going to make decisions under some, ignorant view where like I'd rather shove her in a facility and force her medication on her
Right.
to get the chance of reconciliation. If I have to choose between my grandmother living the rest of her life comfortably, relatively alone, but safe, and
Right.
reconciliation, the reason we haven't tried is it's been really low on the totem pole.
Yeah, it's not a priority.
Not only a priority, it's not going to happen in any way, shape, or form on her own. Me
Right.
going and knocking on her door, right? She doesn't. My mother, her daughter, stayed home, took care of her husband for years, stayed 3, 4 days a week during COVID and stuff, did her grocery shopping. Dan, I mean, you saw the text like my mom having to lecture him to stay longer than 30 minutes,
Right.
right? Daniel was taking ridiculous amounts of money from him, but Daniel's all she has, right? The things that would go into reconciliation and normal, cognitive thoughts, that's not going to work, right? At some, the end all goal really is through help of maybe Daniel or other people. Or you know what? I don't know if you were on that email where I offered Daniel the commission. I said, look, she can hate every minute of it.
Right.
Right? If you get her to sit with us 3 hours a month, that money's, $300 a month is yours.
Right.
Right? You know, reconciliation is not possible. And if it is, in terms of that, it's probably going to require medication. And the only way I'm medicating her is if it's absolutely needed for her safety.
Right.
Because of what Daniel's done, right? At least accused, there's never going to be a chance of that again. Like, so Daniel claiming he accused that, to protect Netta, no. There was clearly never a chance, if that was true, that would continue. Right.
Right.
So you did that because, as everything, it's just a way to, everything's a character assassination.
Yeah.
So I don't see how Vanarelli has a problem with this proposal, and I don't know how Daniel saves face and denies his proposal.
Right.
I don't know how he formulates why.
Right.
And especially if you know, will acknowledge, hey, I'm going to have to acknowledge this stuff, or the fact that about your taxes without an explanation,
Right.
right? This is going to be acknowledged, right?
Taxes.
Taxes,
FAFSA.
the blackmail.
Right.
I mean, come on, like,
Medication.
how are we here right now? He was claiming that he believed she wasn't incapacitated, and that, accused this medication being a made up thing from my grandfather, right? This accusation that was forced on Nada because, some ambiguous reason for controlling her finances that he can't actually explain. I mean, oh my God, Amanda, when you really think about what he's saying, when my grandfather died, Yana knew that her mother was going to live for multiple years to one day want to leave Daniel everything. And everything was to prevent that from happening. I mean,
Yeah, it's not believable.
yeah, but nobody's told him, like nobody's pushed him on that. And
Yeah.
over and over and over, right? No, I get mocked at it. Oh, you did those PowerPoint, you did those Excels, nobody's gonna look at, blah, blah. And he just completely contradicting. I
Yeah.
mean, he went from she was abandoned for being added to an account to continuing the abandon for the account, but the caveat that the money was actually to buy a two-family,
Right.
to suddenly, I think in his reply, he said disputes about the estate, and then we abandoned her. I mean, he can't stop making it about the like the
Yes.
estate.
Right.
Everything was Jan wanted to do it. His settlement agreement was to make Netta his tenant at the market rate.
Mm. Yeah, no, that's not
and
fair.
that shows that he
He's not
and
worried about her. He's worried about the money.
it's always been, I mean, Amanda, this all the money was really for, he wanted to buy a place.
Mm. Gotcha.
He was getting kicked out of his apartment. He's obsessed with buying a place, and he didn't want to find a job first and stuff because he stopped talking to us on Thanksgiving when I said, hey, find a job and get a nest egg first. because we always stomp on his dreams.
Oh,
So, okay, enough ranting. If these things are acknowledged, the big ones are, and also the city card statement.
right.
Do you understand kind of what I
No,
was
that's
going?
where you lost me because you said the city card, but it was that to show that he closed the account.
No, so we know he closed the account. I mean,
Right.
I have the phone call from he was on my cell phone where he called City, and the thing is, so none of his City card, right, was usually maybe $300 to $400 a month.
Okay.
Suddenly in March, so same how many the state changes are going on and stuff like that, that statement was almost $3,000. That money was never debited from her checking account, and that account was closed on April 22nd.
So he paid the account off and closed it.
Yeah. So, unlike everything else, right, Amanda, where it's Nutta did it on her own, I only did it because Nutta wanted, etc. April 15th is when we found out everything, right? The estate changes, the drug dealing, blah, blah, blah. Within a week, he somehow, for whatever reason, rushed to get access to that city card, paid off himself, and closed the account. If that credit card was full of stuff for himself, that's him actively trying to hide stuff that he thinks will look bad in,
You can't get that statement, right? Now it's
he
too late.
can't. Why not?
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if you tried.
I've been begging Vanarelli for months. I said this will solve that. Like this will stop it.
Right.
Like this shows every like if Daniel actively like that means right. It's not a oh I thought she was not
There's no
incapacitated. This is just what she
explanation.
wanted. It's like no, you took very active measures
Right. To hide
to
it.
hide these purchases because you thought it would be bad. You know.
If we saw it.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Done. It would have been done. I've been asking it for months. I said, hey, he's never going to stop
Hmm. Why won't Don do it?
because Don doesn't care. Because Don, look, I'm sure he has a great career. I realized going back, like every cooperation was really to facilitate something he needed. Like at no point was anything our input, right? Oh, it's great when I notice that Daniel's on vacation and, this can blow back on you that nobody has it, you know what I mean? So sure,
Right.
I'll acknowledge. But when it comes to the black, like we went to his office back when we were like, hey, you know, is Daniel really just going to be like, is this nothing going to happen, right? And I had my binder. I mean, I think you were at the mediation, right? My big binder. It's
Yeah. Yeah.
over. And he said, yeah, it really sounds like there's elder abuse here, but it's probably, it's just not in the best interest to pursue it. It'll be upsetting the meta, blah, 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 blah. And now I agree with that, right? Like at the end of the day, by Daniel facing real consequences, it
Right.
guarantees, that.
Yeah.
But I mean, how that goes to, the reason I emailed you guys and never really put on the record was because this is serious stuff, right? Like,
Right.
like I feel like a judge, if he ever gets around to reading stuff, right? It's all been very procedural, so I kind of
Right.
have faith that now, stuff would get read.
Right.
Like the book could get thrown at Daniel.
Yeah.
You're talking about, yeah, hey, I think this needs a criminal referral, or I'm going to hold you in contempt because you literally just everything out of your mouth is a lie.
Yeah. See, I don't think Mega will do that, and mostly because I know it's a lot of paperwork. Because my
Yeah,
former judge was like, "I'm not filling out that paperwork for contempt, no matter what somebody does."
yeah.
So
But
that I don't think we're gonna get too far with Mega,
well,
but
yeah, but then, and that's why I said at least an evidentiary hearing, right? Like,
yeah.
at what point where at least, you know, hurt his credibility, right?
Right.
Like, where it's still being described as dysfunctional family and, not getting along. It's just, uh, Benarelli, all the stuff he says, directly is that Daniel is a cause of everything. Dan, I understand this. And
Right.
then, conveniently, when he doesn't want us to look too credible, it's, oh, he's just not acting in the best interest.
Right. Right.
Well,
Right.
if you really felt this way, then you would put it all on the table, right? I believe that because she doesn't speak to him, that it's not in her best interest. However, they've been very helpful, this, that, and the other thing. Everything we said from the beginning has been true.
Right. Right.
Like, so we pitch it to Banarelli, and it's also Banarelli does not want this to go to a hearing. I
Yeah. He
mean,
doesn't want to look bad.
it's super transparent because you saw the email he responded to
Yeah,
with me highlighting that there's no banister. I'm like, okay, right? Yeah, you of course you don't.
yeah,
You know.
yeah. Okay, so I'll propose that to him. He told me to think about
Well,
everything.
so I can propose it.
Okay,
You will propose it to Daniel.
okay,
Right. So again, there's a waste of time if Anarelli. I'm not going to answer questions from Anarelli anymore. You know, why, how I will deal. I will do something. I will try. Like
right.
at this point, you know what I mean? Because, uh,
He's not interviewing the OPG and asking them all those
well, that's the
questions.
thing. And the frustrating thing is, it's everything is acting like there's some other option that exists. That,
Right,
you know,
there's
right?
not.
Like there's not. So stop acting like there is. How about you say why the OPG would be better?
Yeah. Would you be okay being by yourself as the plenary guardian?
I
Or
don't think my grandmother will.
gotcha. Okay.
And again, right, we talked about this. This is solely for Daniel to have his outlet,
Right.
to have, that it's not, somebody he doesn't have to. And same reason we were concerned with just you, or even concerned with not, just Banarelli is technically you really, if the Guardian wants, you're not going to find out shit for a year.
Right. Right.
If
Because
it
they don't have to
really,
account.
yeah. So at the end of the day, if he's not getting information or, something that he feels entitled to, you can be his outlet. You can be Nuta's outlet.
Okay.
Right. And I think you've talked to me enough. Like this isn't gonna be an issue. Like if stuff's gonna get done, and
Yeah, for
you
sure.
know, and
A lot quicker than with Vanarelli for sure.
yeah. I mean, the thing is, it's yeah, it's true. Just like I'm trying to think, like hundreds of thousands of dollars, and like what was accomplished.
Right.
Banging your head against trying over and over to get these GCMs in.
Right.
Like, hey, let me send the GCMs and ask politely 5 times and have 4 meetings about it. Like,
Right.
hey, maybe see if these are needed.
Well, maybe he should be looking for aides right now, honestly.
Well, that's the thing. It's just like all of a sudden. Well, the thing is, what's really going to make him look bad if we go to a hearing is I haven't been able to get it, but I'm going to ask him directly as as part of this pitch as well. Is his billables for prior to finding out the caretaker got fired?
Gotcha.
Like it because unless I'm missing something, the obligation and responsibilities of a temporary guardian isn't magically different than a permanent guardian.
Right.
Right? Like you don't
The
suddenly,
same.
oh, now I'm responsible for her well-being and stuff like
Right,
that.
right, right. Yeah, no, it's the same.
So you didn't contact her primary physician at any point or have his contact information? He fell and broke her hip. Did you contact a hospital? Is there any billables for right? Like he's
Yeah.
and again, I'm not looking to make him look bad or stuff, but if you're gonna tell me, you know, the OPG would be better than me,
Right.
rather than a family member who's been here the whole time. We were here
Right.
before you guys got involved, and be here after.
Well off. Yeah.
Then I have to go. I have to acknowledge his stuff. For your credibility. Like
Yeah.
it's I don't have a choice. You're making.
Yeah.
If you want to have a conversation, you want to hop on a call, you want to, actually support whatever preconceived thoughts you've made up in your head, right? Another thing he says, oh, I don't think she needs care needs. We never made a single comment about her care needs like being less until his PCM visited months later and said she's walking on her own, she's
Yeah.
cooking on her own. And guess what? Vanarelli didn't follow up or do anything after that either. So he didn't believe her, significant care needs.
Right. That's true. He was fine with the 2 days without any kind of follow up.
No, no, the first time.
Oh, back in the day.
In March, they said all their concerns about the caretaker and the arrangement. Vanarelli even said to me, "Yeah, it's concerning or whatever," and it just continued
Right.
for months.
Right.
Like
Just stopped it.
somebody fell and broke their hip, you're assigned because he had a major injury, and you're not going to verify anything.
Right.
You're
That's
not going to even call this caretaker.
right. You see how she's getting paid or
So I
anything?
mean, yeah, she got paid in cash for months while I mean, I don't know if you saw the emails from my counterclaim where we're begging, we're saying, please verify any, like, if you think she's fine, then fine.
Yeah.
I mean, but it
Or
can't just
just
be
look.
because Daniel sent to us his job ad. The job ad was January 9th.
Yeah.
So clearly he didn't even make an ad until she was already out of the hospital.
Right.
He went to the Dominican Republic on January 19th. Do you believe he, bought his ticket a few days before? He
No.
was going to go. Did you see what the ad said? It was essentially easiest job in the world. You don't really have to do anything.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah. My
Yeah,
grandma's basically self-sufficient. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, he was trying to get somebody in there so he could go on vacation.
Yeah, I gotcha. He just happened to find Alice, but gotcha.
Well, Alice, if you look at her profile, she signed up for it a couple days before.
That's not very reputable.
Daniel didn't care. Daniel, I mean, even now he's like, oh, well, Vanarelli met her. That's not due diligence. You're
Yeah,
leaving
no.
this woman alone with an elderly person,
Yeah, in her house by herself.
driving her around, and worse off, right? Her house wasn't insured. You
Right.
know, like what could have happened if this woman like burnt the house down?
Yeah, right. That would have been
I,
crazy.
Vanarelli gonna pay for it? Like,
No. He would have had to, kind of,
yeah.
out of his liability.
And guess what? The only reason that house is insured is we noticed
Right.
and we checked up on things. The only reason, you know, that it wasn't left alone for a long period of time was we noticed. The
Right.
only reason, you know, to this day, the Verizon getting shut off and stuff, Daniel would rather her Verizon get shut off than give up the points or whatever like that. Like,
Right.
it's my grandmother's account. All he would have to do is say, hey, here, I changed the credentials, you know, this needs to get paid and this isn't working. No, he, you know, all of him taking care of the finances was so he can put his credit card,
Yeah.
your coins. Like that's how he needs to. He always sees an opportunity, like if it wants an opportunity for benefit, right?
Gotcha.
His interest in being part of the guardianship is that he, you know, there's some chance where he'll benefit. Look at who he's recommending, if not anybody but us.
Right.
All the same people my grandmother talks to on the phone that you don't know at all.
Yeah.
Right? You'd rather have the bank teller?
Yeah.
No. He wants somebody who believes his shit
Mhm.
or doesn't believe she's incapacitated and will let her do whatever she wants,
Right.
regardless of, you know, that. So we'll see. I'm completely ready. You know, I'm tired. I really don't want to do the hearing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But at some point, the only way it's not this he said, she said family. Like we're not a dysfunctional family. You've been
Right.
on calls. It's our family and our two mentally ill people on the other side.
Right. Right. Right.
Like,
Right.
so, I mean, at some point, it's what can Daniel say or do, or what we can say or do that makes a difference.
Right.
And it, you know, if it means, you know, evidentiary hearing where all the stuff that's been, you know, laid out a million times before finally gets acknowledged, then that's what we're gonna do. I'm not gonna essentially let Daniel extort his way because nobody's speaking up. Like it's because that's what it is, right? It's hey, he has successfully isolated and fed this shit into her for 2 years and nobody said or did anything. Sorry, guys, you're right, but it's too late.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
I
look,
will talk to him,
yeah.
see if
So
I can get him to agree.
the big things is just for the first time in this entire experience for him.
Right.
Daniel, I'm going to have to acknowledge these things.
Right.
It is not a he said, she said anymore,
There's
right?
facts.
Daniel has given, and you gave you the opportunity to address them,
Hmm.
right? Because that's why I did it too, right? It's not like it's like, look, if you're not addressing them, you don't get to call them baseless lies anymore.
Right.
Like, and I hope that, you know, anybody who saw it yourself is not going to say, hey, I've seen claims from both sides. You know, he has all the bank records. He has every opportunity to dispute, you know, that math or come up with like he doesn't want to.
Right.
He wants to get on the phone with Vanarelli because he doesn't like when his claims, you know, have to have a basis. So if
Right.
he can claim things directly to you or on the phone, suddenly, you know, he's running out of claims to make.
Right. Agree.
You know, I don't know about you, but if I felt my, you know, claims were true and somebody was calling them lies, I
I just
would,
want to prove them wrong.
yeah, like, right?
Of course.
No, yeah, it's why wouldn't you?
Yeah. Especially if you have everything to do it.
Yeah, I mean, you saw him saying that, you know, our mother made Netta quit her job
Right.
to raise him. And then here's a social security form saying she quit her job in her 80s.
Right.
You see any reaction, it's just on to the next one,
Right.
on to the next. I mean, it's fundamental belief system for me, right? If I'm like my fundamental belief system for my actions while I'm doing things is that Yana is greedy and got all this money and she's just jealous. And that's disproven.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take a moment and recalibrate.
Right. Yeah. If your whole theory of life is wrong, then
But he's not well, right? And at some point, it's no, it's not. It hasn't helped anything, right? To entertain him, to legitimize him. You see all the emails, you see in the text messages how I talk to him, right? He was never belittled, and everybody was jealous and stuff. He's
yeah.
a troubled individual, and unfortunately, the perfect storm when you mix it with somebody like his grandmother, them together. At this point, I don't know what delusions are from Daniel,
Right.
from Nutta, because he repeats her delusions as fact. I mean, Nutta says, Daniel, she's a paranoid schizophrenic. At some point, right? Like, have more of a basis than Nutta says,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, Netta says she gave all this. Like, are you basing these gambling debts on something Netta told you?
Right.
That's the entire basis for these gambling debts.
Right.
Like, so I think this should work, right?
Okay.
Because and also kind of put the fear of God into it,
Yeah.
not just from the thing. It's hey, this if you don't agree to this, there's a very real possibility you won't have any say,
Right.
right? Like at the end of the day, you know, you can make all these claims about Andrew.
Hmm.
They're not basis for you claiming stuff from 10 years ago is not the basis for anything, right?
Right. Agree.
You look at the financials. I have to acknowledge it. Andrew literally has lost money on his relationship with his grandmother while had vacations paid for and this kind of thing.
Right.
Nobody's, you're not going to make the argument that this is a, you know, uh, selfless, pursuit for Nutta,
Right.
right? Oh, I put on this fight and used my own money to get out of the settlement agreement that, that undid estate changes to your benefit for almost $500,000.
Right. Still
Yeah,
doesn't
that
make
was
it.
all for Nutta. Like, come
Yeah,
on.
I gotcha. I gotcha.
Yeah, so I think and it'll be funny, if it's completely true that just simply the pushback, the hey, it's not going to be ignored this time,
Yeah.
what that could do.
Yeah. I honestly, I don't think he's gonna care.
Okay, I mean, what are you going to say, Vanarelli, you and me and everybody? I mean, if you want to go into court and say that, right? But the thing is, you say Amanda didn't ask me for the tax returns. Nobody cares.
Right.
Blah blah blah. Like that's why I was so frustrated, right? It's like all it might take is just, hey, I don't believe you, or hey, I have to acknowledge, like, you're given the opportunity, right? If these are baseless claims, then show your taxes,
Right.
right? If it's simply minor, just cash tips, it's not a huge deal,
Right.
then I would much be more concerned with $50,000 not being reported than tax returns that showed a minor underreporting. Like,
Right.
nobody's claiming it's the criminal, huge financial crime if you underreport your taxes by a few grand, right?
Right.
The concern is I don't know about how much you make. I don't put away 50 grand liquid after everything.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? So he doesn't even understand. Daniel,
That's a lot of money.
you're not saying that you're saying that you had to have made so much more to
Right.
actually put that away,
Right.
right?
That's
To
true.
have those vacations and stuff. We're talking about serious. He took that money and was trying to get a mortgage, right? Like I tried to explain it to him, but maybe you can, right? Like this isn't a game. You're insanely lucky how this has gone. That Alshanatis just didn't, want to rock the boat,
Right.
right? We just thought like hell. I mean, even one too many crumbs. He's a prosecutor for 30 years, right? Like,
Yeah. You
we
never know.
didn't we didn't give him the like. Apparently, I don't know if it's true or not, but my mother admitted to Daniel's accusations to some extent when speaking to him, uh, but didn't show the blackmail effects, right? Come on, like at what point I try to explain to Daniel, like there's no other explanation other than us trying to protect him, right?
Right.
There's no like if it was this evil, just anything to stop Daniel, like we would have shown all this stuff on
Yeah.
record.
Day one. Yeah.
But we hope that everybody else would take it seriously and we didn't have to actually put it on the record. But yeah, so I will get this pitch out to Benarelli,
Okay.
include you. Also, just be interesting to see what his actual argument, because the thing is, he never actually said why he wants these like this thing, right? Like he makes reasons for other arrangements that don't have everybody, but doesn't
Mhm.
like, hey, I know he says I'm not fact based. I change my mind very easily
Yeah.
given new
Yeah.
information, right? Maybe I'm missing something. Instead of me trying to convince you why we don't want Daniel, convince me or try to convince me why Daniel is needed authority, why it would be beneficial. What
Right.
magically happens with him giving authority?
Yeah. Yeah. He's still allowed to be involved no matter what. So just
It-
not with financial and
I
whatnot.
mean, it's almost, he's not like the only possible thing is you think that this has all been for him to get authority, and then if he had it, he would actually act in good faith. Like if you just gave him what he wanted, like come on.
Yeah.
And again, it's not like we, just don't want him to, or if we truly believe there was a way to you know, mitigate it, but it wasn't mitigated when he had no authority.
Right.
What's magically going to happen and what do you think mentally is going to happen when he has the authority?
Yeah, he's gonna go further.
Yeah, look, and what's the line, right? If all this risk is worth it because of some benefit Daniel's involvement is, you're not going to remove him for reimbursing himself $500. If the opposite is we lose all this hypothetical benefit of his involvement,
Right.
about $1,000, two. I mean, it'll be a constant, yeah,
Right. Just
it's
gonna
just
push the
really big,
limit.
and we're going to be there. And it was 2 years of that.
Yeah.
Right? So, all right, I'll get this.
Okay.
Hopefully he gives a yes or no. I mean, I don't want to drive my reply to the court again. So one way or another, I'm going to have it on Wednesday unless we come to an agreement.
Right. Right.
Yeah, and we'll see from Daniel's perspective. And I also don't think I'll look at on Vanarelli or Daniel, right? If this was proposed and they both turned it down, because at
Said
the end of the
no.
day, Vanarelli does not need his approval.
Right.
It's, hey, you agree to this, or you're just not involved.
Right.
Like
Agree.
it's framing it as coming from us is the most frustrating thing. It's a cop out.
Right.
You're copping out of making a decision. So you either want to make no decision, which the OPG is no decision. It's not a decision.
Yeah, I agree.
It's the lack of a decision,
Yeah.
right? So it's either no decision or a decision you all came up with and agreed to, and I wasn't involved in. Like,
Right.
so if you want to cop out, then cop out and don't
Yeah.
neg on then don't give your input.
Yeah. Agree.
I think it's best for me not to have an input
Yeah.
and let the court decide. But no, he
Agree.
hasn't done that. So I'll get that out. Hopefully, some kind of response from him.
Okay.
Currently in the morning. Honestly, I guess it really doesn't matter. You can pitch it on Daniel sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
Because I mean, Vanarelli kind of played that little game of like, oh, now I'm considering stuff and not just going with whatever you wanted.
Right.
Because he had to walk back the fact that he had just told the court that none of us are in his interest.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, and if he wants to be embarrassed, I have nothing to be embarrassed about, and I'll go to court about it.
Agree. All right. I'll let you know
Yeah.
how it goes with Daniel. I'll
Thank
copy
you.
you on the emails.
All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Bye.